Once again, heavyweights should get us through most of today's class. Always feel free to have those medium weights on standby if you ever feel that you might need to drop down. But we're going to go ahead, get started while we're warming up here, guys. Make sure that our feet are moving, whether or not that's just a quick heel up, doing a little bit of a calf raise, or if you have the space around at home, you can even go ahead, walk around in it. But guys, you're giving me some arm circles to start us off right here. These arm circles, of course, they start nice and small, and they start to get bigger and bigger until we're finally at that full range of motion. Guys, when you're doing this, I don't want you to just focus about your hand swinging around this circle. Think about your shoulder right there in the joint, getting as much range of motion forward, backwards, up, down, side to side, as much as possible within safe and comfort zones. We really want to mobilize that shoulder. So maybe you're taking some of those reps right up here at the top before you're getting lower. See how far back that shoulder feels in that socket. Again, with safety, don't want to just throw it back there on that wind up. We want to see if we can't safely rotate it through, and then still focusing on that as we're bringing it back down to the center. Once we're all the way back, we're doing the same thing, but we're going backwards. And not only do I want you to focus on that shoulder mobility, I want you to focus on opening that chest during this time, as well as activating those upper backs. Something you can also focus on going forward, but it might be a little bit easier in this backwards motion to focus on a nice chest stretch, upper back activation. But yes, we're still focusing on increasing that range of motion directly in the shoulder joint. The shoulder joint is our most mobile joint within the body, but it's also the least stable. So while we want to focus on mobility, we want to be careful. We want to be cautious to make sure we're not over rotating it at any point to cause us any harm or discomfort. Still feel comfortable for it, but see if you can't be a little conscious if there's any stuck points in there that maybe you can feel out. Guys, we're coming back down to center probably with those shoulder rotations. I want you to pick up those feet, giving me those hamstring curls, and then we're giving me that chest opener. And now we're really going to focus on expanding that chest, get that nice stretch in there, as well as activate those back muscles, those mid traps, those muscles that help pull our arm back, as well as those interior shoulder blade muscles. Again, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Great two moves or muscles to activate for our posture, because our chest tends to round our shoulders up. Activating those muscle groups can help bring our shoulder blades back, open up our chest, which helps with breathing, energy, and overall good posture. Right there, guys, I'm going to have you spread those feet a little bit. Start giving me some squats. While we're doing these warm-up, focus on pressing through the heels. Avoid leaning too far forward, especially if those heels start to come off. Definitely focus on pressing through the heels, even if that means you're still feeling pressure in probably the midfoot area. That's okay, as long as you're being conscious about it. To try to get as far back, really sit down on those heels. And then you can start also giving me a calf raise at the top now. We like to do that calf raise because that calf muscle, as well as a lot of those muscles within the ankle joint, are really important for our heart, because when blood gets down there all the way towards the legs, it tends to pool, especially if we've been sitting for a while. So doing a lot of muscles, but especially those muscles that work the calf, specifically the soleus, can sometimes help get that blood back up to the heart, give the heart a helping hand in keeping the body well nourished and well hydrated with a constant flow of fresh blood flow. Right there, guys, you're going to start giving me some lunges. These lunges can be normal paced to get some more blood flow going, but I also recommend getting some nice slow eccentric motions. These eccentric motions, if we focus on having that hip, those hip bones nice and neutral, torso upright, not leaning too far forward, can help us get a nice hip flexor stretch on the way down. Nice hip flexor stretch on the way down. So I'm not going to tell you to start with one, move on to the other. I'd recommend getting both some more fast speeds in there, as well as some slower movements in there as you feel comfortable. Maybe you want to warm up the muscle a little bit before you get that eccentric in, more than okay. Definitely that increased blood flow helps us out, but also that slow movement helps prevent injury if we're really feeling some tightness in that hip flexor. Right there, guys, I'm gonna have you spread those legs. Start giving me some side shifts. Goal is to stretch this interior thigh muscle right here. We're staying low so that we can get that glute activation, but if that's a little too much, too fatiguing, let's come back up, focus on a stretch, come back up, focus on the stretch, and feel free to hang out on one side for a little bit longer. If you're really feeling that stretch in there, and then rotate on over to the other side when you feel ready. Right there, guys, I'm gonna have you come on up, start giving me some hip openers. Knee comes from the outside or the inside out. Still kind of stretching those adductor muscles, the same ones we were just stretching, as well as getting some glute activation in there. And now we're gonna go ahead, go the opposite direction, outside to in. Now we're activating those adductors, stretching the glutes a little bit more here. And right there, guys, we're gonna go ahead, take a quick break. Go ahead, grab yourself some water. We'll be back here to begin the conditioning portion of our segment. All right, guys, as you're coming on back to me, we're going to start off with more of a strength-based movement, so weights optional here. It's going to be a squat lunge combination. If you want to focus on strength, we'll have those weights in hand, optional if you want to have those weights. They can be up here, down at the sides, down in front, or on the shoulders. I know you guys like to mix it up. But I want you to focus on controlling the entire movement. Nice and slow, under controlled. Doesn't have to be too slow, but I don't want you to ever feel like you don't have control in your body, no momentum. If you'd rather speed it up a little bit, still want to focus on getting that heart rate up, let's put those weights aside, and you can just give me some more rapid body weight squats to start us off, and then we'll do the same thing with the lunges. But guys, we're going to go ahead starting with squats in 3, 2, and 1. So right here, guys, if I had some weights in my hands or on my shoulders, I'm keeping it under control, making sure those knees don't come in, staying out, not leaning too far forward, keeping pressure on those heels. And if I don't have those weights in my hand, we're still doing all those checkpoints, still making sure our knees don't buckle in, especially on the way up. Or that might be when you notice it a little bit as well. But we might be going a little bit faster, again, with those weights on the side. Still focusing on trying to sit back on those heels, really squeezing the glutes. For 2 and 1, guys, we're going to do the same thing. So if we're focusing on strength, let's keep a nice controlled pace. Otherwise, we have lunges, we have backwards lunges. So again, these can be slow, under control, or a little bit faster. We're going to go ahead and start 2 and 1. Also, guys, if maybe we want to stick off of lunges for our knees, we have a wall sit during this time. I guess weights are always optional with the wall sit. You're not moving. Definitely a strength component. But for those of us doing those lunges, of course, we want to make sure that we're not dipping those hips. We might notice it a little bit more towards the bottom. That requires a sufficient gluteus medius, which is our medium-sized glute muscle, to be activated on that working leg. And if we do find ourselves tipping over, either with weights or doing it a little bit quicker, let's try to really slow down, focus on keeping this hip aligned, making sure we're staying nice and up. If we find ourselves tipping over, let's just focus on controlling the movement a little bit more. You guys are giving me 5, 4, 3, 2, and guys, we're doing those same things right away. So squats, lunges, or wall sit. Same thing here. If you want to have those weights, we're going under control. If we want to do body weight, more than welcome to go a little bit faster. Starting in 2-1 squats. And more than welcome, of course, to switch it up. If you did it fast before, you can do it slow now. If you did it slower before, you're feeling a little bit more warmed up, more comfortable, you can do it faster. But you're giving me 15 more seconds, 15 more seconds. Don't let those knees start to cave in. Stay diligent, stay disciplined for the next 5, 4, 3, 2, and we're going to make a nice quick transition to the wall or into those lunges in 3, 2, and 1. As we're on these lunges, guys, go ahead, check our positioning. Make sure our feet are far enough out that our knees aren't above our toes. Maybe even a straight line from our knee down to our heel. Of course, maybe our knees a little bit more towards the midfoot, but our thighs nice and parallel with the ground. Not too far up, but not too far down as well. Pressing through the heels at all times. Keeping those knees apart still during this wall sit. You might feel those knees start to shake. I want you guys to be very diligent about keeping those knees apart. That maximizes glute activation while also protecting the knee joint from allowing it or from preventing it to incave too much. You guys are giving me 15 more seconds. 10, 5, 4, 3, 2. Go ahead, set those weights down, guys. We're going to do something a little bit more plyometric. We have squat jumps. That's going to be going from a squat up, right down to a squat. Make sure we're not catching ourselves on straight knees or, straight knees. Make sure those knees are flexed so it allows us to come right back into that squat and re-engage. Guys, we're starting those in 3, 2, and 1. Squat jumps. Here, I'll say is definitely more acceptable for you to be catching yourself on the balls of your feet. In fact, I would highly recommend it because having ourselves in that dorsiflex position, or sorry, calf raise position, will allow us to catch the joint or catch our body a little bit safer, less stress going through the joint. You guys are giving me 5 more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Guys, the next activity is going to be a split jump squat, which is basically we're going to be in a lunge position. We're going to jump up, switch over, switch over. You can jump as high as you want, or if you don't want to do that, I want you guys to just give me some skiers. We're starting those right now. If we're doing those jump split squats, those jumping lunges, make sure that our knees aren't slamming into the ground. Really focus on catching yourself down, still catching yourself more on the balls of your feet of that working leg. You guys are giving me 20 more seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Right there, guys. We're going to take a quick break, grab ourselves a drink of water. We'll be back here in about a minute. As you guys are coming back to me, what we're going to do next is we're going to be in this stationary, both feet planted side lunge position. And what this means is that we're going to be doing a side lunge right here, one working leg. So right now it's my right leg, one working leg at a time. You can definitely still come up like this, but we're trying to make this one a little bit more strength based. So if we want to hold some weights, we're right here. If we want to take a little less of a strength approach, we can set those weights down and give us some normal side lunges, but there's going to be a more plyometric based alternative coming right after that. And we're going to go ahead and start there in 3, 2, and 1. So if I have this foot down, I'm focusing on pressing through the heels, really activating that glute on that working leg, trying to activate those hamstrings as well, taking some tension off of the front thigh. Really focus on sitting down. Again, of course, if you'd rather do normal side lunges, more than okay, but you're not probably going to be able to keep your pressure on that back heel as much. You guys are giving me 10 more seconds of this, and then we're going to bounce it up to more of a plyometric component in 4, 3, 2, 1. So now I'm going to have everybody standing up like this. We're going to go into that side lunge dynamically. So this foot's going to be anchor, and I want us just doing this. Let's start that right now. This is definitely when we're going to find ourselves taking pressure off of the heel, more towards the ball of the feet, putting our foot in that plantar flexion, basically activating our calf raise. Again, it's all about catching our joints in their flex position, keeping forces as minimal on the joints and more on the muscle. 3, 2, and 1. Guys, we're going to transfer over. Same thing on the other side, my left side now. Starting in 2, 1, begin. So now we're back, trying to sit back on those heels, even if we're doing that dynamic lunge. Maybe finding ourselves in the middle of the foot rather than the heel, but the focus here is primarily strength. Ten seconds, and then we're switching right into that dynamic plyometric position. 5, 4, 3, 2, up like this, and into that first lunge. Right here, guys, you're joining me right there. Again, we're probably on the balls of our foot. I would recommend that. Trying to catch our body with our muscles, not the joints. Ten seconds for me there, guys. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Guys, go ahead, shake those legs out. Grab me those heavy weights. Right away, we're going into a shoulder press. Let's have those feet staggered. Hands right here. Just a normal shoulder press. Really try to focus on that down position as well, keeping it always under control. We're not just pushing them up. Always, always under control. Guys, starting that in 2, 1, and begin. Again, we keep that stagger stance. If we have both feet together, sometimes we have that tendency to arch our back, put extra strain on the spine. If we do this, it just gives our spine an additional foundation for support. It allows us to keep that neutral spine as we're pressing up. Five, 4, 3, 2. I want everybody to hold right like this, arms parallel to the ground. Just activating that shoulder, holding right here. 10 seconds, guys. 10 seconds, breathing through it. Focus on not arching that spine at all. 4, 3, 2, and guys, right there, go ahead, drop those weights down. Find yourself in this stagger stance again, hinge at the hips. Keep that back nice and straight, and you're just going to start giving me some rows here. Go ahead, begin that 2 and 1. Make sure we're pinching those shoulder blades together. driving those elbows to the sky. I'd rather you focus on driving those elbows to the sky than bending that elbow into almost like a bicep curl. So really focus on driving those elbows back rather than curling that weight up. Small difference, but it's really going to help us activate those lats just a little bit more. Ten seconds. And then I'm going to have us holding at the top, kind of like we did for the shoulders. 3, 2, 1. Everybody holding up top here. Check your spinal posture. Make sure we have that neutral spine. Really pinch those shoulder blades together and drive those elbows as high as you can, even if they're stuck in place. See if you can't fight for another 1 inch. 5, 4, 3, 2, and break right there, you guys. Let's join me down here on the mat. And guys, we're going to be ending the weight section off with an alternating chest press with that off arm, the one that's down. That elbow is not touching the ground. Keep it above the ground to keep that chest activated. Let's go ahead and start in 3, 2, and 1. Press through the palm of the hand. Control the weight out the whole time. Of course, if we're at home and we're utilizing maybe a bag full of dirty clothes, a laundry bin, etc., we don't have the ability to alternate. Of course, keeping those hands together, just doing a normal press. But for those of us who have 2 dumbbells or 2 objects of a similar weight and are doing this alternative, keeping that elbow off the ground pretty much all times. So we're keeping that chest activated. 3, 2, and 1. Guys, go ahead, break right there. Set those weights down. We're going to flip it on over, facing down. We have 2 activities. You can give me a plank, 45 seconds, and then a Superman, Superwoman hold for 45 seconds. So for this plank, let's have us elbows, hips up, keeping those straight line between the shoulders, the hips, and the ankles, with maybe those hips a little bit higher. But we're starting that in 2, 1, begin. Again, 45 seconds. I'll give you guys updates. Trying to pull everything in towards your spine as we're in this plank position, you guys. And yeah, be conscious of that hip level. Like I said, straight line. I know you guys don't have a mirror around you, but they can be a little bit higher than maybe that straight line would detail. We really want to focus that on pulling everything in towards the spine from our backs all the way to the front of our torso. 15 seconds here, guys. 15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and don't go too far. We're gonna drop down to the ground, and we have a Superman hold. Hands can be inside for easier or outside. 45 seconds. Start there in 3, 2, and begin. Remember, we're trying to keep the chest and the knees off the ground. Pretty much our only points of contact are hips and our stomach. Is what we're trying to focus on. We're doing that by squeezing the glutes, squeezing the low back to lift the rest of our body up. 30 seconds to go. First 15 seconds already in. "30 seconds. Let's see if you can't take up or bring up those wrists or those ankles a little bit higher for these last 10 seconds here, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, and guys, right there, you can go ahead and break. Go ahead, bring that water nice and close. We're going to be starting off stretches. Always sipping water throughout these stretches, you guys. Let's just start off with a nice Spider-Man stretch here, focusing on that hip flexor. Right there, guys. Let's rotate on over to the other side. All right there, guys. Let's go ahead, take it on down to the mat. Spread those legs. Give me a nice stretch down the middle. Great stretch here. Focus on those adductors. And let's reach over to the left leg. Feel free to grab the toes, or just to, if we're not really, or if that provides a little too much inner competition, remember this is a relaxation point. Feel free to put those hands down anywhere and really just focus on reaching for it with your body. That's what's really providing us a stretch. And reach over to the other side. Right there, guys. Let's put one leg in front, rotate that leg across, give me a nice glute stretch. I know sometimes we like to rotate into that leg. That's more than acceptable as well. Get a little bit of a spinal twist in there. And go ahead right there, guys. Switch it over, giving the same thing on the other side. Right there, guys. We're going to go ahead, stand up, find the nearest wall, and we're going to give ourselves a nice chest stretch. If we don't have a wall, we can connect our hands and pull them backwards, just to give us that chest stretch again. Sometimes you guys may prefer to do that even if you have a wall. But otherwise, we're right here on the wall, giving us a nice chest stretch. And again, this wall can provide us with a lot of different angles. We can have our arms up towards a 45-degree angle out, straight back, 45-degree angle down, or even just a nice bent there at the elbow. You can really mix around with it, play around, see which ones provide you the best stretch. But right there, guys, let's go ahead, switching on over to the other side. And right there, guys, you're gonna come back onto me or towards me. We're gonna do our 4-way neck stretch here. Let's start off by having those hands just nice and relaxed. Basically, want to relax those shoulders, and let's dip that chin down to the chest, stretching the back of our neck. And let's raise that up, tilting our heads back, chin to the sky, stretching the front of our neck. And let's return down one ear, same side shoulder, stretch the side of our neck. And right there, raise it up, doing the same thing on the other side.